Jamaica we rich. It's crime and violence, we must try cut out it. Do me island strong, this year me a change it a pick. Independent man and woman.
Let's celebrate who we are. One of the many reasons to celebrate is the abundance of knowledge available on various topics inside your Jamaica Magazine, like how to stay safe during an earthquake. Why am I talking about this? As we were so robustly reminded late last year, Jamaica is prone to earthquakes, and January is designated as Earthquake Awareness Month. Welcome to another edition of Jamaica Magazine. I am your host, Audrey Williams. Within the pages, you will rediscover and relearn the impact an earthquake can have, as history is the greatest teacher. Also, Year in Review continues with the Ministry of Education and Youth, and everything you need to know about tires. Don't go anywhere. We have a lot to explore after the news.
2023 was a banner year for the government and people of Jamaica. We saw record unemployment, earned over $4 billion from tourism, experienced 10 consecutive quarters of economic growth, secured historic credit ratings, improved our infrastructure, and more Jamaicans became home and landowners in the year. These and so much more happened in 2023. Catch the highlights in Jamaica Magazine, aired on this station and on social media.
Good day, I'm Twyla Whelan, and this is your JS News for Friday, January 12, 2024. Plans are underway to redevelop and reintroduce Brand Jamaica to meet the growing needs of the new tourist generation. That pronouncement comes from Prime Minister Andrew Holness, who was addressing a book launch on Wednesday. He says professional services have been engaged to look at an evaluation of Brand Jamaica, and plans are quite advanced for developing a national brand strategy. This, he says, will give every Jamaican a better understanding of the brand, as it calls for everyone to take responsibility for their actions at home and abroad.
And as we seek to become a republic, that is the perfect opportunity to have our brand centered on our agency, not just our freedom, not just our independence, but our agency. Our ability to take charge of our own future and be responsible for it, so that that becomes part of our identity.
Noting that the enticement of baby boomers and Generation Z has vastly changed, the Prime Minister says Jamaica will have to recraft and reposition itself to ensure that the many new hotel rooms being built are filled for years to come. He insists that the country needs to build a reputation that encompasses not just our resources, but our history and our assets as well.
And then we take our hopes and our aspirations for a fair society, a peaceful society, a growing, productive, pro-social society. And then we say to the people, come to Jamaica for the full experience, not just for sun, sea, and sand, because that in itself is limitation.
The Minister of Tourism has written a book reflecting on tourism resilience and sustainability in the 21st century. It is one of two publications launched by Minister Edmund Bartlett this week. They are titled The Journey, The Service, The Man, Edmund Bartlett's Time Capsule 1980 to 2022, and Thought Leadership on Tourism Resilience and Sustainability in the 21st Century. In the latter, the tourism chief reflects, among other things, on the work it took to maneuver the current that was COVID-19.
We were in the position to place Jamaica as the first country in the region to be truly recovered from COVID. And today we no longer talk about 2019 numbers, we now talk about 2023 numbers as the benchmark for our growth and development today.
In lauding the work, Prime Minister Andrew Holness says it is this kind of deep reflection to the point of academic pursuit that is needed in the perfection of policy objectives.
It is indeed a requirement of this Prime Minister, of his ministers, that they take a deeper reflection on policy, not just to take what is handed to them, but they must also
feel the pulse of the people. They must take the long view of the future. They must reflect on the past, and they must bring all of that together and influence policy.
It has to happen this year. 2024 must mark the conclusion of the long-running discussions about how to end predial larceny. That's the insistence of Agriculture Minister Floyd Green, who says implementing action must be the focus at this point. These actions, he reveals, will include commencing the proposed Agricultural Wardens program this year.
This year, we want to put more boots on the ground, and as such, we've been speaking about it for a while. It has to happen in 2024, where we put into operation our Agricultural Wardens program, where we will look at the areas that have tremendous challenges with predial larceny and have people who have the powers of, let us say, a district constable in the area specifically to treat with agricultural crime.
The minister underscores that discussions are already taking place with Police Commissioner Major General Anthony Anderson about getting the program started this year. At the same time, he says the ministry is working on fixing some of the laws and legislative issues to build a framework that makes it more difficult for people to relocate stolen agricultural items. Amendments to the Agricultural Produce Act are among these initiatives. Minister Green was addressing a new Face of Food session held in St. Catherine recently. And finally, Transport Minister Darrell Vaz has promised to take action to address issues causing long wait times for commuters in the Kingston metropolitan region. The minister gave the commitment on Monday as he visited the Halfway Tree Transport Centre for a first-hand view of the system since the reduction in bus fares took effect. He assured commuters that they would see some relief once the 300 new buses start rolling in. The first 100 are expected as soon as June.
2 hours I can't fix right away, but give me a little time. I beg everybody, give it till June. Give me 6 months. Yeah? Reasonable. It takes time for the bus them to make and ship and reach here.
Minister Vaz also addressed complaints related to dispatchers and other issues.
I hear that there's problems also that are getting complaints from me in relation to the dispatchers, etc. Leave that to me. That is a function of management. Right? I'm going to make somebody senior be here every evening to give instructions and to make sure and watch what's going on.
As of January 1, adult commuters are paying a reduced fare of $70 on JUTC buses, while children are paying $25 and pensioners $30. The fares will further reduce effective April 1 to $50 for adults, $20 for children, and $25 for pensioners. And that's it for JS News Today. I'm Twyla Whelan. Thanks for watching.
In 2023, the Ministry of Education and Youth took action to transform the learning landscape in Jamaica. Our next feature highlights some of the major successes for the year.
Hi, my name is Fayval Williams, Minister of Education and Youth, and this is our 2023 Year in Review. I'm so thrilled as I look back on the school year so far to see the number of children who are in our classrooms. It tells me that all across Jamaica, education is valued.
In 2023, the education and youth sectors saw highs and lows. One low was the news that 854 teachers had resigned between January and September. The Education Ministry's response was among the highs.
We had to act quickly in light of this to establish things like our job portal that allowed teachers who are out there, new teachers who are coming into the system to easily upload their information and connect with the schools. We also invited back retired teachers who wanted to continue to be in the classroom. That was a big deal for us as well. And as you know, coming out of our colleges, our teachers' colleges, Each year, we have well over 1,000 new teachers coming into the system. So together, when we look at all the initiatives that we launched, it helped us to ensure that school started in September and that we had adequate numbers of teachers in the classrooms.
With that bounce back, the ministry pressed on with the concept of reforming education through the construction of STEM schools, announcing the first set to be located in St. Anne.
We have always traditionally taught science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, but as discrete subjects, right? One by one, we want to integrate and create that environment where our children can see the magic of bringing together science, technology, engineering, mathematics, the arts, because maths is in a lot of things we do. So we have to ensure that we focus on STEM as a meaningful part of the education process.
At the same time, there was increased student registration in the Sixth Form Pathways program.
Listen, that is my favorite topic to talk about. They have embraced the Sixth Form Pathways program. Well over 24,000 students are engaged in the 3 different segments. What their parents are seeing is that their students are gainfully engaged, and the Sixth Form Pathways program offers internship. We had to approach it from a lot of different angles. We do have, especially in our high schools, deans of discipline that we've had over the years. We've had to strengthen those as well. We have guidance counselors. We've added more guidance counselors in our schools. We do have a safety and security division at the ministry that looks over the program for our schools. You would have seen us work with the Ministry of Justice to introduce restorative justice practices in our schools. One of the things we're most proud of, we identified 34 schools that are really considered to be violence prone, and we're working with them. And in particular, we're emphasizing literacy.
It's important that as a Ministry of Education, we're supporting the efforts to ensure our children are literate. And so parents get to learn the strategies through the parent places, strategies in literacy, so they know how to support their children at home.
My daughter is in grade 8. She's a teenager, 14-year-old. And I am telling you, this is like, when you're looking back at other children that you raise, it's the hardest stage. Believe me, and when you come to this, it's like you are not equipped. Coming to this session, I've learned a whole lot.
And we believe those initiatives are helping already in terms of seeing better behavior and better outcomes for our students.
The ministry also established another campaign to get remote students to school. The Rural Transportation Program serves about 7,000 youth.
If you go out in rural Jamaica on a school day, you're going to see children waiting at bus stop, in the morning, in the afternoon, late afternoons. That's not what we want for our children.
Our school, with the help of the Ministry of Education, we are able to transport 60 students on the Rural Transportation Program. Previously, only 15 students were able to benefit from such a program.
With a move in the right direction, the ministry continues to transform education by opting to set a positive trend in 2023.
2023 was an exciting year in the Ministry of Education and Youth. We launched our program, Trend. Trend really was just an advertising and PR arm to sensitize the nation about the work that is being completed under the Transformation Initiative, which was highlighted in the Patterson Report.
If you look back in history, there have been similar reports. What has not happened is that the ministry in prior years has really not taken on the implementation of transformation, but this time, we have taken it on. That's it for our major highlights for 2023. You can look forward to more transformation in 2024.
We are firmly committed to providing the economic environment and resources necessary to ensure that the people of Jamaica grow and prosper. The levels of unemployment are also lower today than the historic lows achieved immediately prior to the COVID-19 pandemic. This represents the 6th consecutive budget speech in which we have not introduced any new taxes of the people of Jamaica.
As promised at the start, we're now going to touch on the natural disaster that offers no warning. Even without that warning, though, we do know a few simple actions you can take to protect yourself during an earthquake. The most basic: drop, cover, and hold. Practice it often. In the meantime, our upcoming feature will deconstruct Jamaica's history of the 1692 earthquake and its after effects.
It's been over 300 years, and marks of the 1692 earthquake still linger on the city it struck the hardest. Port Royal was one of the busiest and wealthiest ports of the West Indies, and infamously labeled the wickedest city of the period, owing to its reputation for piracy and smuggling. But when 1692's powerful quake struck the area, it submerged most of Port Royal under 40 feet of water. There were 3 separate shocks with increasing intensity, and that's the story that many know. But the wrath of the earthquake spread far beyond that city, even onto a place called Judgment Cliff in St. Thomas. The cliff is seated in the Landway community, and if you look closely, you'll notice that a section of it is completely gone. Judgment Cliff got its name from the story of how an entire community was wiped out during the 1692 earthquake. That story has passed down through generations in the community, and it's one residents readily recount to curious visitors.
The Judgment Cliff, I was informed that they used to have a plantation up there run by a serious, wicked slave master. Imposed draconian measures on the farmers, and one of the reasons why they resided on the cliff, that in case the slave wanted to run away, they would have difficulty in doing so. The place collapsed. I guess during the same time Port Royal earthquake was taking place. That was 1692.
Them say when it happens it's at night. Well, what I really know is they say a man, a rooster, and a bull save. The man gone out, gone wild. The rooster fly off of the roost. The bull broke down the pen, gone out, gone wild, same like the man. Understand? It was a plantation to people who lived there too. Everybody get covered out.
It's a history long written, but Judgment Cliff stands as just one example of the aftermath of an earthquake. And as scientists warn of the possibilities of an increase in earthquakes globally, it's a history that could easily be repeated.
In the Caribbean, we can say we had our fair share of seismic activities. Research has shown that Jamaica is usually exposed to about 200 earthquakes per year, most of which are small and may not be felt by humans. Despite achievements in seismology, it is still not possible in the true sense to predict the occurrence of an earthquake.
If you are a frequent road traveler like me, it's important to regularly check the pressure of your tires. Don't know how? Our next feature will provide you with the pertinent details.
I have absolutely no idea what this is or what it's even used for. But today on Autospot, I'm going to be learning all about tires, and who knows, I might even end up changing one myself.
tire is a ring-shaped component that surrounds the rim, which helps to cushion the road feel and offer traction and stability of the vehicle. You have all-purpose tires, which can use in all terrain. You have wet tires. For wet tires, it's for like wet road condition. You can't use a dry tire in the wet season. You get slippage. For the tire to be completely functional, you need the rim. You need air to be inflated in the tire to get it to the correct air pressure so that it's suitable for road condition. A cold tire is when the temperature inside the tire is reduced to like normal road temperature. At that time is the correct time to check the air pressure within the tire to give you an accurate reading. For the hot tires now is when you're driving on the road for a long duration of time and the heat inside the tire builds up and increases the pressure inside the tire. Tire inflation is the pressure inside the tire, which can be in kilopascal, bars, or PSI. There's an instrument called the tire pressure gauge, which I have here with me. You use to take the tire pressure. I can demonstrate for you. First, we'll have to remove the dust cap from off the tire. Place the tire pressure gauge on the tire valve, and it automatically pushes out the tire pressure gauge and give you the correct reading.
The driver still needs to play a big role in the safety of the vehicle on the road. Now, we see a lot of vehicles coming into our premises at our body shop, and we see a lot of accidents that could have been easily prevented. People texting, people not paying due care and attention when they're on the road. Now, Jamaica had over 370 odd deaths last year on the road. There's a big target to get it under 300 this year, and that can easily be achievable if people just pay a bit more care and attention when they're driving on the road.
The tyre normally has a manufacture date on the side. From that date in which the tyre was produced, you can know when the tyre needs to be changed. Within 4 to 6 years of the manufacture date, the tyre is due for replacement.
But what if I'm on the road and I have a flat tyre, what do I do?
Okay, the first step is to park the vehicle in a secure location, flat surface. Pull up the emergency handbrake, ensure that the vehicle don't run back or anything. Then you gather your tools, including a jack, lug tool for the job. Alright. Here you have the lug. You're gonna place the lug tool on that, ensure that the correct lug tool is fit perfectly, and you push it down in the anti-clockwise position.
Okay.
And you do that for all 5 lugs.
Okay, and it's usually 5 lugs?
No, some vehicles carry 4, some carry 5, some carry 6. But for this application, it's 5.
Okay. So what else do you do after that?
After you remove your lugs, you remove the complete wheel and you have it all for yourself. Then you go for your spare and place it back on here and screw on back. You tighten back your lugs.
Alright, so this is what you use to tighten it back?
Yeah, this is the lug tool.
So you're going in the other direction?
Yeah, clockwise. Turning. And you always tighten diagonal. Right, you tighten in a clockwise direction.
So which one?
Clockwise.
First?
It can be anyone, but you have to tighten in diagonal. This, then this, and this. Yeah. Cross and cross. So the tire go on, the wheel go on even. And then let down the vehicle, and then you finally torque the lugs to make sure that they are correctly tight.
Where do we usually find the spare tires?
Alright, depending on the vehicle type, sometimes the spare is under the vehicle, and the back of the trunk, or inside the trunk.
So it's not as simple as it seems, but it's clearly doable. It's all in a day's work, well, at least for a newbie like me. But really it should take about 10 to 15 minutes to change. I can promise you there's so much value in learning to get the job done. I certainly feel accomplished.
Once upon a time in a Caribbean island known for its rich culture and natural beauty, lived a group of people who were buried in piles and piles and more piles of paper. Papers spanning back to the start of time. Then came a bright idea, harnessing technology to work smarter and not harder. The government of Jamaica is improving its operations to serve citizens better. Many services are now available online, and there's more to come. The government of Jamaica, building a better public sector for all.
COVID has taught us many things, and among those is that the dynamics of our environment has shifted somewhat in terms of how people think about themselves in their natural space. I mean, one of the greatest manifestations of that is the workplace. The workplace has changed because of COVID, because Jamaicans, the global citizen, have come to terms with their mortality, now so more than any other time in the world. Because COVID, as I said, has been the greatest equalizer known to man during this last 100 years. Everybody was afraid at some point in time that COVID would have gotten us and would have taken us out. And it never really mattered whether we had money or were poor, whether we're in North America or in Jamaica. And as a human instinct would dictate, many persons are now rethinking how they work, where they work, what time they work, and the concept of self-care and taking care of self, family, community is becoming a lot more relevant. That represents for us an opportunity, particularly because we exist in a pandemic of lifestyle-related ailments. It is how we live that is facilitating our demise to a large extent. The cardiovascular disease, the salts, the sugars, the fats, the tobacco, the alcohol, the lack of rest, the lack of physical activity. We have to get people nudged into greater health-seeking behavior. It cannot just be about cure, it has to be about prevention. And some of it we may have to legislate, like tobacco legislation, like school nutrition policy and what is served in our schools, like sugary drink, Heart Foundation championed that, like the right of people to know what's in their foods, front of package labeling. But the reality is that generally Jamaicans don't like to get a checkup. They go doctor when they're sick. So while we single out men for being a little, afraid, it's better to bear the perception of being violated and detecting your prostate troubles early than to wait until it's too late. And at that stage, the violation don't really matter. So we're going to have to be bold about that and engage in greater community outreach. But I think we have to also advocate for people, Jamaicans, to do their annual screening.
We've reached the end of our program. Get a recap of everything you saw here and more on our website, jis.gov.jm. I'm Audrey Williams. Bye for now.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.